So, hello and good morning, good evening, good day, everyone. I'm here today with Simon, who is my friend that I've met on Tantra teacher training back in Bali. And we both experienced very interesting, caring, loving, intense emotion and experiences with our teacher, Sarita. And Simon is a Tantra teacher. And today I am very happy to introduce him to you guys. And welcome, Simon. And thank you for agreeing for this conversation.
Wow, Sabina, thank you so much. I'm really excited to be on here. And yeah, especially as we shared so much in private in the last month and also in the training, that yeah, now we give a possibility to share this to a broader audience. So I'm really excited about it. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. So I would really love to talk with you about Tantra, about relationships, masculinity, about all the emotions that may arise around these aspects. And Simon, my first question to you is, what made you you? How did you come to choose what you do? And what story is behind that?
Wow, what made me
Complex
come there?
question.
Actually, it's really funny because what probably most people think about Tantra, that this is all about intimacy, sexuality, wild stuff going on. I thought the same. And that's why I actually went in there because I thought that's what I'm going to get.
Yeah.
And to my surprise, it was totally different.
Mm.
And that saying when it's like you don't always get what you want, but you always get what you need.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is hitting it on the point because what I got was actually like the deepest connection to myself. And I often thought that it's more about fun and pleasure in relationships. And this is what really would make me happy. But I found out that I was lacking so much of that real intimacy that is not only about sexuality, but really to get in touch with myself and with others. And yeah, by experiencing this, I just felt that it was like curtains were relief from my heart that I did not know were there. And from that point on, I just experienced life so much different since I went into all these meditations. And I felt this is going to be one of the most beautiful versions of myself. And so I just continued because it was amazing for my life and my evolution.
Mm. Oh, I love that. I love that. And you know what? I think we share the same story here. I think most people go into Tantra to actually connect more with sex, intimacy, or something that like they have this presumption that it's about this deeper intimacy, wild experiences, pleasure, 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 but it's much more. Like,
Oh, yes.
yeah, I think this is the biggest misconception that it's about sex. No, it's not only about sex. Like, sex is only part of it, right? That Tantra does influence sex life, but still, it's so much more. It's so much wider, and I think we've both been there, and we know how it resonates to all areas of life. And I remember we had both a friend at the training, Brett, and he said that Tantra is like the therapy ultimate. And there's like the life before Tantra, and there's the life in Tantra, and it's totally different in its quality. And I couldn't agree more, right? It was amazing.
100%.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of which, what do you think are some kind of other misconceptions about Tantra? Like this is the one really, really vivid for me right now. But what do you think is more? What more is there?
Well, I think after it, there's a real huge gap. Like this is number one thing. And also right now, when talking to other people about my profession and what I'm doing, like this is the number one thing coming up that I need to verify what I'm actually doing, that it's about meditating. Like I think many people don't really know that Tantra has something to do with meditation. Also, even though if it's not only sex, but they don't really think that it's a meditative practice or that there's meditations in there. And also about a misconception. Well, what I like to say is that this is actually the game changer tool for personal development. Like this is what I think that most people don't really understand, that through all these practices, you get a chance to really, really connect to yourself. And that includes in itself so many of these concepts that are used out there for personal development, and you get all of it together.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Totally, 100%. I came to a realization like 3-4 days ago that at some point, and that was my former thinking as well, that Tantra, that people who do Tantra, they're like this, they go for orgies. They're like promiscuous, and they do not respect boundaries of other people. They have like relationships with everyone. And I couldn't be wrong more, like seriously. And I do know people who still think like that, which is quite the opposite. If you're in Tantra and you practice Tantra, there's nothing more sacred than the boundary of your skin, like and the boundary of the emotion of another human being. And boundaries are first thing you talk about, and you never cross it. You respect them like it's just sacred. And I think this is one of the biggest misconceptions too. If somebody really thinks like that, it probably means that they just don't know it yet in a total way, or maybe they have some really bad experiences, because let's face it, in the world of spirituality and growth, there are many like really narcissistic abuses going on. And I really I'm really like into just pay attention and be aware what's going on, because in Tantra, boundaries are sacred. No one will ever cross it. And there's nothing that nothing like promiscuity exists there. It's nothing like that. Wouldn't you agree?
Wow, totally. And also this is, I think, the biggest thing that I learned in the beginning. It was all about boundaries. And first of all, I recognized how much I'm not aware of my boundaries, not only in intimacy, but I was like, wow, how often do I say yes and actually don't want to do it just because I'm afraid to reject the person? I think the first years were nothing else but learning what a yes really means to me. I don't know. How's it about you?
Yeah, at some point, I believed that boundaries are about saying no. It's like, I need to say no to stuff. I need to be aware of my no. So I need to say it and express it. But at some point, I needed to also explore what is my yes. And my yes as in, where do I invite people? Do I know their yes? Or do I presume I know their yes? Right? Am I communicating that enough? It's boundaries. I think it's a lesson for a lifetime. I think they change, they weave, at some point, maybe. So I heard from really wise people, boundaries are a topic that you need to exercise, that it's no longer needed, and they just dissolve. And I really hope to be there at some point. But so far, I'm really into what's my yes, what's my biggest yes. And if I dive deep into something, I'm actually experiencing, oh my God, maybe that was a no for a moment. And it turns out to be a yes afterwards, but I need to grow into that,
Wow, interesting. Yeah. Well, I definitely feel that this is the basic where you need to start, or what is most healthy for people. Because I mean, in this life we have, you always need to do a choice.
Yeah.
Especially through all that social media stuff, wherever there is an offer for something, and also with all the friends and connections that you have, if you are not aware of what you actually want, you just end up in places where you ask yourself in the end, how did I get here? And realizing that, well, all of these choices are consciously or unconsciously made by yourself. So I think this is for everyone in every kind of, or every lifestyle that you have, not even spiritual or about sexuality. Like, this is the number one thing that you need to have to navigate through life.
Yeah. I heard a very cool expression that boundaries are actually the it's your consciousness. It's that if you know your boundaries, you just know your identity, you know your consciousness. You're conscious of your identity. That's the thing. Boundaries are just that. You know what your identity is. And we need to test that very often. And that brings me to my other question, a big one, I think. What is it that frustrates, saddens, or angers you about the world today, particularly in the context of relationships, masculinity, how it all, interferes with each other? What's your view on that?
Well, answering this from a more personal point, and it is the idea of how men have to be, and how, for example, if I compare it to myself, my friends, my peers, then we usually grew up pretending to be strong, don't show yourself vulnerable, especially also not in relationships. And I think this is one of the biggest thing, that if you take the ideal picture of a man right now, that I think the man is so often showed as strong and always following his purpose and wealthy, healthy, fit, all that stuff. And that really, not that these are bad things to have in life, don't get me wrong, but it's not only about this. It's really lacking the part of to just be. And also as a man, it sometimes just feels good that you can show all of your sides. And I feel that this is missing a lot in the perception of a man right now, from my personal perspective.
I think it's from the point of view of men that I have already worked with, and I had this privilege to help them at some point in their growth. It's something similar. It's like I feel that I cannot show my so-called weak sides, because am I a man enough, right? How would she look at me then? How will I present myself around other guys? I would be like the weak one, right? And I don't want to be like that. It's I think that men have different kind of pressure that they feel than women. I think it is like that, but still we both share pressure, like tremendous pressure. We're under pressure.
Yes, so much.
Yeah. How do you think it affects relationships right now?
Well, in a big way, because if both are not really showing up as they actually are, you present some kind of truth that is not really the truth. But I'm not saying, what I actually feel. How can my partner know what I feel? I mean, she's reacting to something that is actually not my real truth. And based on this, we continue our relationship. So it's really tricky if you don't really get to the core, because you just have this imagination of the other person. And based on this, you continue acting, which is bullshit. And I just had it a few days ago, actually, with a very good friend, where I was like, oh my God, do I really need to say what I really feel right now? And I was like, what if she thinks that I'm weak, and then I maybe get rejected or whatever? And in the first step, I was too afraid, actually. And it felt really bad. And I don't know, we had a conversation one day after, and I was like, no, that doesn't feel good. I honestly need to share what I really feel. And just by saying it and just being honest with my feelings and with myself, wow, it was such a big relief. And also her reaction was like priceless. She's like, oh my God, this is so good. Thank you so much for sharing. Like, it changed everything. And so I think this is the biggest effect. Coming back to your question, if you're saying it, you're actually acting from a place of truth and a place of love. And whatever comes after is also the truth, even if you don't like it. but that's the truth, you know, and you cannot change what somebody else will think about your truth, but you were in peace with yourself.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then it's kind of tricky.
Yeah, and it really resonates with me, and it actually touches this part of me that wants to scream and shout, if you're building a facade, you're not in a relationship. The facade is in the relationship. So don't be like surprised when you ask yourself these weird questions, like, if I show myself authentically, will they ever like me? Like, if you're building a facade, you are not in a relationship. The facade is. And do you really know that the person who is in a relationship with the facade is going to love you or the facade, right? That's the thing. So being authentic, being true to ourselves through connecting with emotion, through connecting with the inner truth that we have and expressing that. I think this is the biggest challenge, both challenge and privilege, that we can really, you know, use and utilize. I'm really curious now, while we're talking, what do you think are the biggest challenges for men, from your point of view? You've been through some already, and what are the biggest challenges for men right now in the world?
I think a big topic is the challenge of what is purpose, and also the like meeting this this point of what do you want in my life, where's my mission, and all of that. At least for me, that's a big point. And with this coming the need to perform, to achieve something. Okay. So yeah, for a man, stepping out of this game of performance and coming into an act and a way that, yeah, you act out of your intuition and what really is inside of you, not based on external circumstances like society or what a relationship should look like, to really, yeah, leave all of these things where they are and don't try to, how to say, yeah, that they're affecting your life, you know, to separate those external factors from what is really driving you or what do you actually want in your life.
I think it's very difficult to find the purpose. Like, what's the my thing, the my talent, the my hidden thing. I think that's something that we both share, like women and men. But in terms of when I work with men and when I look at my beloved, the thing of why am I on this planet? What is my thing? Like, what do I have to offer here? I think these are really big questions, and they affect men differently than women. Because as I observe it, maybe you would agree, maybe not. I think that being a woman is more about being, and a man is more about doing, and actually being seen as a man through the doing, and being seen as a woman through the being. It's like a different thing here. How do you see it? What's your point of view?
From my experience, I would definitely agree that this is a very big thing. And also that often, you know, of course there's also people where it's different, but yeah, that it's more for men from a place of acting and having a mission. And well, this is a question that I'm sitting with for many years, trying many ways to achieve it, through building my own company, having all of that, what the external world says is amazing, and then finding out, well, it is actually really great and amazing, but to define purpose in a different way that actually resonates a lot more with myself. Because if you leave out the thought of, for example, do I need to make money with this? You know, what, like, leave out the performance questions and then ask yourself, what would I do if all of this does not matter? Like, also leaving out the performance. And I'm 100% sure that with this particular thing, you get right to your purpose, because purpose is what really lights you up. You know, when you act out of love, when you're excited, you want to do it, it's vibrant, it's vivid. If you follow this feeling, it will automatically lead you to your purpose. The purpose is not the specific job that you're doing. It can be, but it's about, why are you doing this? Because you get a feeling out of it, because it really, yeah, it really makes you happy. So just following what makes you happy is the way better approach.
I would add something to that. I'm curious about your thought. It's about doing what makes you happy, what makes you enthusiastic, and what makes really like your heart sing. And with a composition of, I am ready for some hard steps on the way, because it cannot be only, you know, happy driven, only enthusiasm driven. It needs to contain that element of something that is difficult, actually, because that will shape you, and that will make the happiness element even more available emotionally, as if this is the thing that creates that container for the happiness to feel, because you know you stepped into something out of your own free will, and it was connected with, I am on my way, and I'm prepared for anything that is on the way. And if I don't choose the way, the difficulties will hit me, life will happen to me, and I will never be prepared for that. But if I choose my purpose, if I choose the enthusiasm that I feel about that, the thing that lightens me, and I know that something will come up, and it will, and I will feel on the way, I will feel vulnerable, stupid even maybe, but these are the elements that will make me wise, will make me open to the wisdom, and will make me integral with myself. I think that this is also a very important thing to mention. I'm pretty sure that you are on this path with the container for the difficulties. How is it for you?
Well, first of all, I agree 100%, because just because you do something that makes you happy, this is the thing that you remember while you're doing it, but it's fucking hard, and it's not easy to follow this path, you know, just to make this to be clear about that. And I like to follow up on this, getting back to what you think are the biggest misconceptions about Tantra, or also the other way around, what is one of the greatest things that you will get out of it. And this is what you just said. All these challenges, everything that you face in your life that actually feels hard, where you actually feel that, what the fuck is going to happen? Like, this is rock bottom for me. I have no fucking clue how to continue from here. And that's the beauty in it. What really shifted my life, that not through forcing, but through doing all of this, I at one point realized that through all these challenges, I get amazing gifts. Like, going through that pain really revealed a superpower for me that made it so much easier to continue. And I mean, it was really hard to get there. It's super painful. It's not fun at all. And this is the biggest gift, when you actually come to a point that you realize, wow, there is another challenge in my life. And this challenge, if I really see it as a valuable life lesson that is there for a reason, and I'm not rejecting it, I'm not running away, then this is just going to change your life, because the worst things actually become the biggest teachers for yourself. And
shivers.
And it actually makes you at some point a bit happy that these are there, still triggering the shit out of you.
Yeah, okay, totally. I can really relate to moments in my whatever retreats, Tantra retreats, Tantra teacher training as well, when I was like, oh my God, am I brainwashed or liberated? I don't know. Like, where's the pleasure? Where's the fun? I'm here. Like most of the time I was like, get me away from here. That was so, yeah. I think Sarita very often repeated that. No mud, no lotus. I think the fucking lotus, right? So we have to be prepared for some pain. And pain is just a place where love really wants to kick in, but we have like kind of like, oh, it's the other side, and I'm rejecting that. I'm really, really into opposing of that. But when you open, when you're like cracking yourself open, it means, whoa, that's actually a new me. That's love that was so trying to really kick in, and I was like suppressing myself. Each time I ever go through something like that, and each time where I see my clients in their transformations, it's the same thing. It's like pain, bigger pain, bigger pain. I don't want to feel it. I want to run away from it. And then like, whoa, it's love. It's love. It's actually a new kind of identity here. And that old one was the one that was suppressing, the one that was rejecting the wisdom, the new thing. And Tantra is really about kind of crushing your old identity, the identity that is too small to contain that kind of love.
Yeah.
And yeah. And then I really love that you mentioned that. It's so good.
Yeah, I'm remembering now, I think it was Amandeep saying this on another Tantra retreat after. He says like, Tantra is for the brave, because what you just said right now, I mean, you can stay in your comfort zone all the time and avoiding all of this and probably live a so-called happy life. It might be a bit more shallow. Still, you can enjoy all the stuff, but through all these meditations, retreats, whatever, you are constantly not forced, let's say, invited to meet that edge of yourself where the old part of you wants to grow, wants to evolve, and therefore you need to leave it. But that is work. That is work.
Yeah.
But it is rewarded big time.
Definitely. It's super rewarding. Yeah. And from the perspective on Tantra and the love that it brings, it's always an invitation. From the perspective of this little ego, it's always like, this is pressure, this is pain, this is crushing me, like, and this is just Tantra. And love is like, yeah, I'm waiting for you. It's like, what are you doing? Just surrender. It's just so funny when I talk about it, but believe me, when you're in the process, it's like, oh my God, I'm being so attacked.
Yes.
Like the feeling.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the thing, is to be very connected with the emotion and not protect yourself, but take care of yourself. Not to isolate, but allow yourself to be seen and to be very open to receiving the love and the support, because it is there. It's just waiting. If we're open, it's always waiting there. And that brings me to the question that I would love to ask here. Based on your experience, how Tantra can help men discover, experience, and enjoy their masculinity, and how it can enhance the relationship dynamics.
Yeah. So one of the biggest things, well, first of all, I'm talking about what it does for me and what I see from other people, because this is the actual truth. There's maybe many other things, but if I don't experience, if it did not work for me, I will not mention it, or if I didn't see it working for other people. So just saying that, well, biggest thing is coming from the trust to yourself. Because if you're grounded in yourself, if you really get in touch with your own feelings, with all the layers, all the shades that, yeah, as you said, masculinity has, it just really anchors you in yourself. And this is the most important point. Like, if you're anchored in yourself, if you feel that you're happy with yourself, or at least that you know to navigate through life, then you are not afraid to show up in your relationship as you are. So that's a big thing, because of course your partner will benefit from this. And as you know what you want and how to find out what you want, or what you don't like, then this is such an amazing frame to navigate in a relationship, because you can bring a lot of security by knowing this. Because other than that, it's a bit more vague. You don't really know what to do. You maybe can't really voice yourself because of not knowing it, and that then brings a lot of confusion in it. And nobody likes it. What's about confusion. And also to mention that what is really rewarding and a big shift in Tantra is doing man's work. Like really connecting with other men, because we're always talking about relationships with women, with our wives, with lovers, whatever. But this is always just the opposite gender, which is really important. But one of the things to really get rooted is to connect with other men. What you mentioned before, show yourself weak and vulnerable in front of your brothers, and actually experience that you don't get rejected, that you don't get punished, that they're there for you, that they will show up in you, and to really experience this brotherhood. This is one of the things that really brings you into your masculinity.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. Whenever I work with men, I see a very repeated pattern there. It's like the world really flipped over its head right now. And in the past, in like, I don't know, real past, it was like a girl was raised into becoming a woman, and then she went from the father to the husband. Like there was no like, she didn't have like any like, I don't know, identity crisis or something. She just went from one role to another. And right now it's like a girl becomes a woman, then she has her own apartment, then she does some growth work, whatever, and she comes and she meets a guy who's like living with his parents or his mother, very often only with mother, and then he goes to her, to the partner. Like where's the place, where is that space and time for the man to actually grow apart from woman, apart from the first women that he had in his life, and really experience him in masculine society for a moment, because he needs men to become a man. It's that crucial and that's important. And right now it's just some kind of opposite. It's like a boy grows into being a man, and then he goes to another woman, from mother to woman, and they compete with each other, the partner and the mother. It's like, I remember a quote from Osho, our beloved Osho, in the book From Sex to Superconsciousness. He said, it's like no wonder that the wife and the mother-in-law are in conflict all the time. The mother-in-law put so much attention, 30 years of her life, to make a man wise, intelligent, productive, whatever, and there comes a woman and she makes him stupid in 5 minutes.
I totally know what you mean, and I remember it.
It was so funny, but I think this is a funny thing, but it does create this conflict. Men do need men, and they are very cut off from their masculinity. Very often, I think that in my work, like when I do hypnosis sessions, very often what comes up is my father was absent, or my mother hated my father, or they had difficult relationship and I felt that she just doesn't handle stuff, and I become some kind of a partner for my mother. It isn't conscious. It's just like, I'm this hero baby. I'm gonna do something that my mother feels safe so that I can feel safe, because if my mother doesn't feel safe, my life is endangered. That's how strong it is. it's not about emotional contract. It's about instinct here, guys. It's really, you don't question that. But then when the boy grows, the thing is, I need to question, who am I for me? And what do I want to attract? And what is my essence here? And these questions are never asked to him. At least in the work that I did with men so far, these questions were never asked. And then they go into the world and they still do stuff as they did in that family dynamic. And they are nice and exhausted. And I think this is a very big problem for today's men, like being nice and exhausted and without any contact with their aggression, a good kind of aggression, I mean.
Yeah.
They do have aggression, but it becomes in the shadow, you know, and then it's cold aggression. They are manipulating somehow, or they become auto-aggressive. I've seen so many men with this kind of symptom. How is your perspective on that? Do you see something similar as well? Do you observe something like that?
In terms of the aggression point, it definitely, well, when being out there, especially in terms of being in contact with other men, that usually leads to competition. And nothing wrong against competition, you know, but there is a way of healthy competition, like in sports, wherever, you know, it's just about finding out who's better at what point. But out there, if this aggression is not really channeled right, or you actually don't know where it's coming from, then it's, yeah, men often are coming to the point of this, let's say, lonely wolf, you know, that is out there just handling stuff on his own without real support. And other men are more seen as competitors. And that's one of the biggest things that you say about this aggression, because it's their testosterone is there. We need to work with it. And that's also nothing bad, you know, it's just a question of how do you approach it and what do you do out of it. And you can turn that competition also in something that you collaborate, that you work with each other. And yeah, this is, at least for me, was one of the biggest learnings, because I haven't had it for many years. And also, like, growing up with my peers and friends, we would just be in competition all the time. Like, if someone would do anything that would be funny, we laugh at him or whatever. I mean, we still love each other, yet we only knew about this competition thing. We wouldn't know how to switch it.
Yeah, it's so valuable what you've just said. Like, competition in terms of womanhood is different, because we are not competitive at all from nature. We were taught to be competitive. That's why toxic femininity exists, because we compare with each other, with our sisters, and we are very criticizing one to another. But in terms of masculinity, like, competition is the thing that makes you grow if you do it right.
Yes.
It becomes the collaboration. It's like, I'm better at this and you're better at this, and let's learn from each other and let's support each other in the process. And this is amazing. I think that men do not even need Tantra to do it. Like, my husband doesn't really, he's not that deep into Tantra as I am. Very often he experienced that through me, but he has his own, he has his brothers, he has his friends, he has his male friends, and he has these moments during the year where he just leaves for a few days, goes out into the wood, or just, you know, experiences some kind of he does this reconstruction of historical battles, like from the 9th century or something. So he takes his sword, his axis and something, and like, they're doing their stuff. He comes back. I'm just like, do you have your old teeth? He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I do. And it's like, awesome, great, success. But I think that it's very important for men to really be among their brothers. It's so amazing when few days pass and he says, like, when he brings all the stories home and he says, after a few days of spending time together, we really shared great conversation during the surrounding the fireplace. And it was amazing. First few days are always like, I'm better, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and they're like competing. But then someone cracks and says, I'm not very happy in my relationship right now. And other guys are like, oh God, me too. It's like, oh, really? What does it mean to you? Or something. And something deeper happens there. And I really love that he has the space for himself that I'm not allowed to be in. Because I have mine that he is not allowed to be in. And I think that this is something that enriches our relationship, at least for us. I'm not saying that this dynamic is for everyone. I'm just saying we figured out what's really good for us. And anyway, that's something that I just mentioned now. I would like to ask you a question that, is there a question that I didn't ask and you would like me to ask and answer to it?
Actually, no, not right now. The last thing that I was thinking about was that I really love what you're saying with your partner and you, that I just want to follow up on this, that you both have your separate safe spaces where you can talk freely about something, because this is really important, that you have someone that you can talk about that is not your partner, because there is just stuff that is sometimes your partner does not need to know about everything happening in your head. Sometimes there is just a few fears that you don't even know what they are, and you just need to throw them on the table, talk them out, and also with someone maybe being the same gender, because I mean, men understand man problems better, and women same with women. So that's just so healthy. And yeah, I was really happy to hear that. And also because I realized what you say about the time. It's the same when I meet with my friends. We need time to open up, like the deep conversations, they depending on how deep we are, but usually if the group is a bit bigger, it takes some time to open up, to say like, okay guys, let's be honest, what's going on in our life, what's going on in our heart, let's be honest, let's be vulnerable. But when this happens, it's so amazing, and every man experiences this, I mean, loves it. And I guess for you women it's the same, but I'm in the other circle, so
yeah, what I would like to refer to what you've said about the men's circles, the men separate and women separate. It's really important because when we have our own separate circles and we work women with women, men with men, we come together, and then after that we can come together and really experience our different qualities. It has really different flavor there, so enriching and so abundant in different kind of experiences. When we're mixed, it's like it's different, but when we actually have this time to be separate, that's when the femininity grow within the feminine circle, the masculinity grows within the masculine circle, and then it can just move together and really enrich that space. And it's just so important. I really feel for people in their relationships where they are like the husband and the wife, the partner and the partner all the time together. It's just, I think it's toxic in some ways. I work with many couples who have this feeling, like I think Esther Perel calls it really, really, really spot on. Like, I look at you, my partner, and you have to be my best friend, my trusted confidence, my best lover, my priest, my therapist, my mechanic, my lawyer, my everything. Like, we put so many roles on one person, so many roles that actually were divided in a whole village 100 years ago. And that's too much. That is definitely too much. So we need our groups, we need our peers, our friends, because then the relationship itself is really it's fed with good love, with good good love. I mean, it's fed with love, it's fed with care, and it's fed with something that really gives that couple a lot of energy. And it's not the thing that you drain from.
Yeah. It takes so much pressure out, because if you need to fulfill all of these roles, like, you're gonna be pretty disappointed soon, and maybe then think it's not the right one, you know?
Exactly. I was there. I've been there. It's like,
same here.
who wasn't? That's the sad thing, right? We've all been there, so whatever. Anyway, Simon, thank you so much for being here. And I would love if you just wrap up what we've just covered. I really enjoyed this conversation. And what is it that you would love people to really hear and really absorb? What is that message from you that you would like to share?
It's the message that touched myself the most, is to hear from someone that you are okay, you are amazing just the way you are. And it's okay to have it not figured out. It is okay to be a work in progress and a masterpiece at the same time. And this is really what I want to share, because it doesn't matter where you are, what you have right now. Please accept yourself and make peace with yourself. From that point on, you can move on and do your stuff, but please do love yourself and be kind to yourself.
Accept and love yourself first.
Yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you, Simon.
Wow, thank you so much. It was an honor. It was really a pleasure to have this chat with you.
Amazing. Thank you. Guys, if you're interested, you can find Simon on his Instagram and any other media that you have. I will put it in the description of the video.
Yes, we'll put it in there.
Okay, awesome. So guys, in the description of the video, you can find Simon there. I really recommend you just go there and read his posts, be there in his social media. Thank you so much, and have a great time.
It was lovely. Thank you so much.